Bella's world, an ordinary girl in an ordinary town. Bella Tonkin was ordinary. Average grades, average height, an average life in an average town. She liked to read, watch old movies, and walk her dog, Buster, a scruffy terrier mix. Life was simple, predictable, safe, until the day she found the phone. It was a sweltering summer afternoon when Bella ventured into the attic, searching for old board games. The heat was almost unbearable, but the promise of rediscovering childhood memories kept her going. Dust motes danced in the single beam of sunlight, piercing through a grimy window, creating an almost magical atmosphere in the otherwise neglected space. Cobwebs clung to forgotten treasures, whispering tales of time past. Boxes of old clothes, stacks of yellowed books, and broken toys lay scattered around, and then she saw it. Nestled between a chipped porcelain doll and a moth-eaten teddy bear sat an old rotary phone, the kind her grandmother used to have. It was a relic from a bygone era, a stark contrast to the digital world she was accustomed to. It was an incongruous sight in this dusty haven of discarded memories, an antique in a world obsessed with sleek smartphones. It seemed almost out of place, yet it held a certain charm. The old rotary phone. A strange discovery in the attic. It was as if it had been waiting for her, hidden away all these years. The phone was heavy in her hands, the black bakelite cold and smooth against her skin. She could feel the weight of history in it, the countless conversations it had once facilitated. A strange energy seemed to pulsate from it, a subtle hum that vibrated in her fingertips. It was almost as if the phone was alive, holding secrets of the past. Curiosity piqued, Bella carried the phone downstairs, a strange sense of foreboding settling over her. She couldn't shake the feeling that she had unearthed something significant. Her room seemed different with a phone on her nightstand. The once familiar space now felt foreign, as if the phone had altered its very essence. It was as if the old rotary phone had brought a piece of the attic's musty silence with it, a tangible presence that seemed to absorb the light and joy from her cheerful pink walls. The room felt heavier, more oppressive. The urge to plug it in and see if it worked was overwhelming. She imagined hearing the dial tone, the click of the rotary dial, and the possibility of connecting to a different time. Logic told her it was a foolish idea, that the phone was probably as dead as the memories it represented. Yet the thought of bringing it back to life was tantalizing. But there was a pull, an insistent whisper in the back of her mind that urged her on. It was as if the phone itself was calling out to her, begging to be used once more. The first call, whispers from beyond. With trembling hands, Bella plugged the phone into the jack, surprised to hear a dial tone. Hesitantly, she picked up the receiver. Silence, just the faint crackle of an open line. Then a whisper so soft she almost missed it. "Hello?" Bella's voice sounded small, lost in the sudden silence of her room. The whisper came again, closer this time, a breath of cold air against her ear. It was a woman's voice filled with a sorrow so profound it sent shivers down Bella's spine. Help me, the voice pleaded, the words stretched, distorted, as if from a distance. Bella's grip on the receiver tightened. Fear, cold and sharp, pierced through the haze of disbelief that had enveloped her. Screams from the abyss. Terror grips Bella's soul, sending shivers down her spine. The whisper escalated into a gut-wrenching scream, a chorus of tormented voices rising from the depths of the phone, swirling around Bella, pulling her into a vortex of terror that seemed endless. She slammed the receiver down with trembling hands, heart pounding against her ribs like a frantic bird trapped in a cage, desperate to escape. The room was silent again, but the air throbbed with an unseen energy, a palpable tension that made her skin crawl. The phone lay on the nightstand, its black surface gleaming malevolently in the soft light, as if mocking her fear. It was no longer just an old phone. It was a conduit to something dark and sinister, a gateway to a realm of unimaginable horror that she could barely comprehend. Bella backed away, her eyes fixed on the phone, unable to tear her gaze from the sinister object. A cold sweat clung to her skin, and her breath came in short, shallow gasps, each one a struggle against the clinging fear. She had to get rid of it. Now. The thought echoed in her mind, a desperate plea for escape from the horror's grasp. Disposal and despair. The phone returns. The phone felt evil, heavy with malevolence. Bella threw it in the trash. The metal clang of the garbage can lit a hollow echo in the stillness of the evening. She spent the rest of the night huddled in her bed, lights blazing, the screams from the phone echoing in the silence of her mind. Morning brought a fragile sense of normalcy. The sunlight streaming through her window seemed to push back the shadows of the night, the memory of the horrifying calls fading like a bad dream. As she went downstairs for breakfast, she saw it, the phone, back on her nightstand. Living in fear. Paranoia consumes Bella's life. Days turned into a blurry torment. Each time Bella disposed of the phone, it reappeared. She tried everything, throwing it in the river, burying it in the woods, even leaving it in a different town. It always returned. The calls continued, sometimes whispers, sometimes blood-curdling screams, always pleading, desperate, full of an unbearable agony that seeped into Bella's dreams, turning them into nightmares. She stopped sleeping, stopped answering the phone, but the ringing continued, a relentless reminder of the terror that clung to her. Fear became her constant companion, a shadow that followed her everywhere, poisoning her every thought. She couldn't focus on school, couldn't talk to her friends, couldn't even enjoy her walks with Buster anymore. Her life had become a prison, and the cursed phone was its warden. Seeking answers, the librarian's cryptic clues. Desperate for answers, Bella went to the town library, a place that had always been a sanctuary for her. She confided in the old librarian, Ms. Hathaway, a woman whose wisdom was as renowned as her vast knowledge of books. Ms. Hathaway listened patiently, her kind eyes filled with concern. When Bella finished her story, the old woman led her to a dusty corner of the library, her fingers trailing along the spines of ancient books. She pulled out a leather-bound volume, its pages yellowed with age. "The answers you seek are within these pages, child," Ms. Hathaway said, her voice a low murmur. "But be warned, sometimes the truth is more terrifying than the unknown." The Revelation, a connection to Bella's past. The book spoke of cursed objects, conduits to other realms, and of families bound to protect the world from the darkness that lay beyond. As Bella delved deeper into the archaic text, her blood ran cold. The book mentioned a family, the Tonkins, who had been entrusted with guarding a portal that connected this world to a realm of unspeakable horror. And the key to that portal was an old rotary phone. Bella's family, her ancestors. The weight of the revelation settled on her chest, suffocating her. The phone wasn't just haunting her, it was bound to her, a legacy of her family's past, a responsibility she never asked for but couldn't escape. The weight of truth, Bella's ancestors, and the cursed phone. This phone, an artifact from a bygone era, held secrets that spanned generations. The phone became a symbol of her family's past, her present terror, and her uncertain future. It was more than just an object, it was a link to a dark history. She was no longer ordinary Bella Tonkin, the girl who loved books and old movies. She had transformed into something more, something stronger. She was a Tonkin, the last of her line, the guardian of the portal. This role was thrust upon her, and she had no choice but to accept it. Each ring of the phone was a reminder of her duty, of the innocent souls trapped on the other side, their screams a constant plea for help. The sound echoed in her mind, day and night. The fear was still there, but it was now mingled with a sense of responsibility, a burgeoning determination to break the curse. She felt the weight of her ancestors' expectations on her shoulders. She didn't know how, didn't know if she could, but she knew she had to try. The stakes were too high to ignore. For her sanity, for the peace of the trapped souls, for the legacy of her family, and for the safety of the world. Bella knew that her actions would determine the fate of many, and she was ready to face whatever came next. Facing the darkness, Bella decides to confront the evil. She picked up the phone. The screams were louder now, closer, but through the terror, Bella heard a faint glimmer of hope, a desperate plea for release. "I'm going to help you," Bella whispered, her voice trembling but resolute. The phone pulsed in her hand, a surge of icy energy coursing through her veins. But this time, Bella didn't flinch. She was a Tonkin, and she would face the darkness. This was only the beginning.